So right now, Canadians are experiencing the few days now that we've experienced the GST holiday, the little present that Justin Trudeau has improvised in a way to keep people kind of complacent enough to at least accept him with his low polling numbers, with his unfavorability, with his disconnect from reality. This is kind of keep the longevity of Justin Trudeau's ruling. And people think that, oh, a GST holiday, we're going to, save a bunch of money. Well, that's not exactly the case. As exposed here by, this is from Government EXE is Corrupt. They stated that I went shopping today and took advantage of the GST holiday the Liberals have been promoting for weeks. After spending $273 on groceries, the amount I saved on the HST was $1. $273 on groceries and you saved $1. Thank you, Trudeau. You've made the holiday season so much more affordable. Well, hey, let's give the benefit of the doubt here, because if you think about it, double that money the next time you go, you might have the first down payment on a pack of gum. So, look at the optimism. Look at the optimism that you save $1. And that's not the only thing that's just disastrous of this horrendous temporary pause on GST on taxes in regards of food and groceries, that Justin Trudeau, again, it's all improvised. It's all temporary. It's not actually fixing the necessary legislation that makes things affordable for Canadians. So here is oh, maybe not. Maybe not. Okay. So here's fellow Canadian podcaster Anita Krishna, who is a former director of Global News. She got fired during COVID because she was one of the people that asked questions, and at that time you weren't allowed to ask questions. You weren't allowed to even read what was going on during the pandemic, because that would make you a traitor to this nation, as people like Trudeau and Theresa Tam will tell you. But here's Anita Krishna. She's about to do her own grocery shopping, doing her own errands, and she's going to tell you exactly how the GST holiday is really a slap in the face to Canadians. So listen to this.
Hey everybody, how's day 2 going of your big GST holiday relief plan that the Liberals have doled out to save us all from poverty? I'm just about to walk into my regular grocery store here, and basically we're supposed to be having GST exemptions on restaurant meals, children's clothing and shoes, wine and beer. Well, I'm all for that. Prepared food, so that means like veggie trays and pre-made salads and things like that. So chips, candy, granola bars, gum, books, games, and Christmas trees are all supposed to be GST exempt, right? But your regular groceries, really, we don't pay a lot of GST on them anyway, right? So I think the savings are going to be just minimal, but I'll go check it out and see. Obviously, diapers are included in this too. But if they really wanted to give Canadians a break, why wouldn't they save you on your home heating costs? Why wouldn't they get rid of this ridiculous carbon tax? Because I think this is just a front. This is just a plan that is not thought out well, that they slam together. They don't think about the cashiers, the POS.
And concerning the fact, as she stated here, it's only temporarily. Because if they actually gave a damn about Canadian families that are struggling to make it through this holiday season and make it through the cost of living and the inflation, then they would take on measures that would actually help Canadians throughout the entire process, not just for 2 months, and not just a little bit on a GST break. Example, cutting the carbon tax. That's a great point. Cutting the carbon tax that is causing mass amounts of inflation and artificially rising prices to something that doesn't even make sense. We're charging people so that we pollute less, and it's not really working. It's just absolutely crazy that we're doing it. Why are we not also putting this GST pause on exactly home eating? So there's so many questions to this, It's temporary. They don't even know how to fully play it out to people, which is why so many businesses are having troubles to understand how to implement this sudden policy change, and it's not helping people. It's really not helping people.
West systems, how are the cashiers going to know and decipher what is GST they're supposed to charge and what is supposed to be exempt, if you know what I mean? It's very complicated. They rolled it out very fast. They did not consider the eastern provinces that have HST because they have it combined. We at least have it separate, but they still haven't thought of anything. And Chrystia Freeland gave some ridiculous press conference where she was trying to answer questions from senators, some of who are Liberal senators, questioning her ill thought out plan, and she really struggled in that press conference. So you should check it out if you can find it. But my God, let's walk into the Superstore here, and Superstore. I'm parked in the back, so let's see what we can see. I don't have much to buy, but let's see what my savings are going to be.
So that was just a short video. You can check out her channel to see the rest of it. She goes into like the store and actually scopes around prices and sees how much savings you're going to get. It's really nothing. But I just also want to show this was also underneath her post on Twitter. She posted that video and someone posted this underneath it. And this is apparently a retail store that, as she said there, people are having struggles to figure out exactly how to implement this. They don't know how to fix their systems. They don't know how to incorporate that into their price market because it's just a temporary measure that they implemented so quickly that they don't even know how to roll this out properly. And if we could actually have the initiative to roll out something beneficial that would have a greater outcome, like, reducing the carbon tax, putting a full-on price freeze on home heating and stuff like that, that would be more beneficial than this temporary mumbo jumbo that's not really helping people. So here, this statement was on the wall of this retail store. It says, "Attention customers, due to the problems finding someone who can reprogram our inventory system with the confusing GST rules being implemented this month, we will be charging taxes on items as before. Apologies for any inconvenience. Please keep your receipts and submit them to the federal CRA GST department." They can be reached at that phone number and they can advise you on how to assist you. And even the the funny part is they're, passing it off to the CRA. Oh, just take your receipts and call them. They'll know how to sort it out. But even the CRA doesn't even know how to figure this out because of how quick this was, how a quick measure this was. And it was a gimmick, again, to fool people to keep on the longevity of Justin Trudeau's reign because they know his time is up. They know that by 2025 of next year, it's over for him. So he's trying to buy some time from the critics, from people that are already outraged by him, outraged by his policies, outraged by the high inflation, outraged by the just lack of awareness for Canadians. And this is just a quick gimmick. Him and Chrystia Freeland put this together in a quick second, not even thinking the repercussions, not even thinking how this is going to roll out to small businesses. And that's why they're struggling with stuff like this. So this guy, Mark Emery, points out, remember that the government must collect $2 to give you $1. Every dollar you receive from the government worsens your or our situation. The Canadian government is now looking at a record 47.6 billion deficit for the fiscal year 2023 to 2024. The Canadian dollar is the lowest it's been in 22 years. So, this tax holiday, they're dangling this carrot in front of your nose so they can avoid this. They can avoid having people mention this to them. That every time you implement this, every time you're implementing this while sending $19.5 billion off to the Ukraine war without any measures, without any repercussions, without any accountability, is going to add more to this deficit. And that's why Chrystia Freeland had to step down immediately, because she would be responsible to why she's causing this much of a deficit while making false promises of saving Canadians money. And it's not even beneficial for Canadians. It's making it worse, because as we're seeing later on, as new studies are being reported, once this GST holiday is done, things are going to get way worse. The average family of four is going to add $800 more on their grocery budget. $800 more because of high inflation, because of cost of living, because of the incompetence of this government. And here's just how insanely frustrating it is that even distributors had to come out with this statement. And this is affecting a lot of small businesses, because it's the domino effect. Once you have distributors not knowing how to charge or properly do the HST holiday, now it's going to affect a lot of small businesses that rely on these distributors that bring them the products. So it says, "Dear valued customer, we are writing to address questions around the GST HST holiday relief program announced by the Government of Canada and PepsiCo Canada's invoicing processes for December 14, 2024 through February 15, 2025. Please share this memo with relevant purchases and finance contacts at your organization. Based on the requirement for payment to be received in full within this period, the specific timing constraints of our billing processes, PepsiCo Canada will continue to be charging HST and GST on qualifying goods from December 14th to February 15th. There will be no changes to our current invoicing processes. Customers can continue to claim input tax credits for any GST, HST paid." So, if small businesses are told to not charge taxes, and they're going to have to pay taxes on the inventory that they're bringing in, who is that damaging? That's going to damage the small business. So now their prices are going to have to increase, because they're going to have to pay the taxes on the inventory that's coming in, and they're not charging taxes to the customers, because they don't want to lose customers if they find out that it's tax holiday and they're the ones charging it. So they get screwed. They get stuck between a rock and a hard place, and they get stuck in this dilemma, which is actually going to screw a lot more small businesses. And we talked about this before. We did a video about how a lot of small businesses are already, chaotically amplified on struggling to figure out how to deal with this. Because it's such a short time period. It's only temporarily. They, mucked up kind of the writing to this. They don't even know what exactly is being tax exempt and what's putting tax on. It's just absolutely chaotic. And now you have this, so just adding this domino effect that's going to hurt a lot of small businesses. So, Chrystia Freeland says it's truly a gift that people will be able to afford a rotisserie chicken for the holidays because of the GST pause. Comments like this should infuriate Canadians. Chrystia Freeland is completely out of touch with reality. So you want to see what she says here? It's a luxury. It's a luxury that you're able to afford poultry. You're able to afford food. Coming from people like her and Justin Trudeau that take many extraordinary trips around the world, that take and abuse your taxpaying dollars to funnel their war agenda, to funnel their to funnel their heinous economic policies, this globalist agenda. And they're basically doing a Christmas Carol skit here where Eleanor Scrooge here is telling you should be thankful for the fact that food is such a luxury now that only certain people can be afford to get it here in Canada. So listen to this.
With respect to HST and GST rebates or pauses on charges, things like a $1,000 bottle of champagne or a $950 Sony PlayStation 5, I'm wondering why somebody would be able to get an exemption from paying GST on that when other items that might be more important to them would not be exempt.
In putting together the list, we looked at two things. First of all, what were the items that would really help Canadian families over the holidays to afford the things they need and maybe to save a little bit of money for the things that they want. I've heard from so many working.
So basically, we looked at two things and we saw grocery prices and $1,000 bottle of champagne. Well, considering I'm going to more go towards the champagne, we're going to tax exempt the champagne. While the rest of you, you're going to have to starve. Just keep in mind, there's 2 million people at a month going to food banks in this country. 2 million people a month going to food banks. And she's more worried about, oh, we got to make sure that champagne, that bubbly juice of mine, is tax-free because I don't want to pay more money. I don't want to, flourish myself and put more into this country. I mean, I'm going to step down anyway because it's not my responsibility now. So it's on you guys. So here's where she's going to say the rotisserie chicken part.
Moms, that being able to pick up prepared food at the end of the day, being able to afford that rotisserie chicken is a real gift.
It's a real gift. Merry Christmas, everyone. You get the rotisserie chicken that we externally charged triple for, and you may save about 8 cents. Yay! The Progressive Christmas Carol, Eleanor Scrooge. Sorry, Tiny Tim, we can't afford you to a hospital or actually get you proper education or provide food for you so you can actually be nourished for the next day, but we'll give you the legality to an ability to change your gender however you want to be, even if you want to be dressed as Tiny Tina. Yay, Canada. Yay, Canada. That's what it was. Food is a luxury, according to Chrystia Freeland. You just got to know how to deal with it. So here's the National Post. This is the same newspaper that was showed previously on how this temporary pause, this GST pause, is going to impact grocery prices come 2025. And they write this article again, how the GST holiday could drive up grocery prices in the long run. You'll see many products being more expensive in the grocery store, and once the tax actually comes back, it will be slapped on higher food prices, says Sylvia Charbois. And it says, on the surface, the GST rebate may seem as a goodwill gesture on the behalf of Ottawa, Charbois says, but the temporary nature of the policy is likely going to negatively impact Canadians. And there's where the biggest slap in the face comes from by Chrystia Freeland, by Justin Trudeau. That is why they're doing this temporarily policy, just like how they're temporarily going to fix the border, but not actually implement solutions that would actually benefit the national security, benefit the national economic prosperities of Canadians. Because now, once this is over, once you get those few measly pennies out of this tax break, it's going to be even worse. It's going to be even worse. And that's why they're shuffling the cabinet around. That's why Justin Trudeau is implementing all these heinous policies, because he knows he's out the door. He knows Chrystia Freeland's out the door. So now they could just look back and go, not my problem. That'll be stuck with Pierre Poilievre then, or Jagmeet Singh, or one of the other ones. It's not my problem. Ha! I was just taking orders from my boss, Klaus Schwab. Enjoy your Christmas buffet of crickets. Drink down that, nice gallon of canola oil. Because poultry, meat, groceries, fruit, and vegetables, you won't be able to get those. And here's also, maybe not. Oh, here we go. So here's Justin Trudeau also dangling false promises about this GST holiday, which again is temporarily holding on this longevity of his reign on terror against Canadians. So this is going to kind of shut you up. Same with the $250 check that you may get in the spring. It's not actually beneficial to the greater outcome of Canadians. So listen to what he says.
Now, this is a challenging time in the world, and I know families are squeezed in a whole bunch of ways, which is why we need to look for reasons to be optimistic about the present and the future. And certainly with inflation finally coming down to pre-pandemic levels, with interest rates coming down as well, there's a lot to feel optimistic about it, particularly when we look at the overall situation of our economy, which is predicted to grow faster than most of our peers, including faster than the United States next year. So there's lots of big reasons to be positive about the economy, but at the same time, Canadians are squeezed. People are hurting. People need direct help, and that's why.
Under your policies. Again, he's making it sound like it's someone else's responsibility. Like, oh, Canadian families are squeezed. Under your economy. Under your policy. Which is why this temporary measure is absolute bullshit. This temporary measure is not helping Canadian families. Because they know in the outcome, after this temporary pause, it's going to get worse. And you're not making measures to actually plan for the future. You're just worried about covering up now. You're just worried about covering up people now, shutting them up, saying, hey, we're going to give you this little benefit. Merry Christmas. And then realize in 2025 that things are going to get extremely worse. And this is trying to bring back whatever little dignity, whatever little favorability he has left in this country.
Why we've been stepping up as a government on many, many different initiatives that are making a huge difference in the cost of living for Canadian families. We've made investments on a range of things, including most recently announcing that there's going to be a significant tax holiday over the next 2 months. There's lots to do, and we've been there to step up, which makes it so difficult to understand why Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party, that are always talking about how broken Canada is, always talking about how Canadians...
You mean, as you just said earlier, how Canadian families are squeezed, like that kind of broken? Like you just admitted earlier, which is under your reign, Justin Trudeau? But no. We gotta point the finger at the other party, the opposition party, because they started to question this temporary freeze. How dare they? It's almost like they have another measure that would actually be more beneficial. Like, I don't know, cutting down the carbon tax that's unnecessarily apparent and aggressively against Canadians' interest. How the fact that you're going to save, 8 cents on a tax rebate for your groceries, that you're still going to have to pay that 8 cents towards gasoline or fueling your house or paying the electric bill. How none of this is beneficial. None of this is helping people. This is just your cover-up to help your favorability, what little you have left, to keep going and ride on till 2025 of the election.
Are struggling and how people need help, has stood in the House and voted against and tried to block every single thing that I just talked about as helping Canadians. He talks a good game about Canadians needing help, but he turns his back on them. So when he's talking about the fact that Canadians are struggling...
And again, there's things that I could say about the Conservative Party and Pierre Poilievre and his policies that are heinous towards working class people. Because again, the parliamentary system is just absolutely corroded with these globalist elite tyrants that just don't care about Canadians whatsoever. But at least Pierre Poilievre, I give the credit in the fact that while he's dismissing this temporary tax relief, which is not relieving anybody but themselves, he's coming forward to question things like the carbon tax, which is making it worse for families, making it worse, and is causing this domino effect, which is why things are astronomically expensive here in Canada. On top of the taxes, we're being taxed and penalized to death on the basic essentials that Justin Trudeau claims are essential for these working class families that he pretends to care about. Just like Anita Krishnam said earlier, if you really cared about working class families, why are you not looking at that? Why are you not looking at real policy changes that would implementally fix things now and for the future? But no, none of that matters. We're just gonna give a blanketed, temporary. We'll just put a freeze on it. Put a little freeze, like freeze tag, freeze. And then hope Canadians don't actually look onto this, don't research, don't actually see how things are going to get worse in 2025. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. So, here's this guy, Brett Sears. I like this little animation he has here. It says, nobody cares about this temporary measure. Canadians have been struggling all year thanks to Liberal incompetence. And there's Justin Trudeau as Santa there, giving you your tax relief, saying you'll get nothing and you'll be happy. Which I'll say that doesn't really show the incompetence. It just shows the lack of competence towards Canadians and more competence towards, his donor class, his owners. Mr. Klaus Schwab of the WEF, who wishes you all a Merry Christmas and go eat your bugs. And go, take away your gas-powered leaf blowers. Because it's bad for the planet. It's bad for the climate. Now, hop aboard my private jet and we'll go to Jeffrey Epstein's island.